Boys and girls, this week, since we were reading the Easter Bunny's assistant and the assistant was a skunk, I thought it would be fun to learn some real facts about skunks. So I have a story that I'm going to read for you today called Let's Learn All About Skunks. So I'm going to show you this book and see if you learned something new that you didn't already know about skunks. All right, let's learn about skunks. And this book is by Deanna Jump and Dee Dee Wills. They are the authors, and then we're going to notice that instead of drawing pictures, they used real photographs because they want us to learn about real skunks. So let's see if we find out anything new about skunks. Now, this is a nonfiction book, so we know in a nonfiction book, it's real facts. So it's not going to have make-believe things. These will be real things that we learn about skunks. And I see that I have a table of contents. A table of contents tells us what's inside the book. Look at some of the things that they're going to tell us. What are they? It says that's on page 1. What do they look like? On page 2. What do they sound like? On page 3. How do they protect themselves? On page 4. What do they eat? Page 5. Where do they live? Page 6, and the glossary, that's words to know, is on page 7. So nonfiction books often have a table of contents that just tell us what's inside the book. What are they? Skunks are mammals. They are warm-blooded and have fur. In May, the female skunks usually have 5 to 7 babies. Baby skunks are called kits. So look at that skunk there. There's a mother skunk, and she's carrying one of her kits, it said they were called, in her mouth. Did you hear that said skunks are mammals? Remember, mammals are animals that are born alive, and they have fur. They're warm-blooded, so not like a snake that would get cold in a cold place, but our blood stays warm inside all the time. So skunks are mammals. What do they look like? Skunks are black with white stripes down their back. They have a bushy tail. Skunks have small eyes and ears. And look at that skunk. You see a kitty cat beside it? Skunks are about the same size as a cat. They have a really little head, don't they? Look at that little head next to that big bushy tail. What do they sound like? Skunks are usually quiet animals. Sometimes they whistle to communicate with each other. If they are mad or afraid, they will let out a screeching sound. Wow, I didn't know they whistled to each other, did you? That's new information. Oh, and they can let out a screeching sound, it said, when they're mad. How do they protect themselves? When skunks are in danger, they lift their tail and squirt a spray at their enemies. The spray smells really bad, and it can sting their enemies' eyes and skin. Ooh, we know how stinky they spray, don't you? Listen to this, though. There's a fun fact for us down at the bottom down there. It says a skunk spray can travel as far as 10 feet. That's a really long way for that spray to go. Ooh, I don't like that smell. What do they eat? Skunks are omnivores. Oh, we've learned about that. We've learned about herbivores that just eat plants. We've learned about carnivores that eat meat. Omnivores, remember they eat both plants and meat. Skunks are omnivores. They eat things like frogs, worms, insects, bird eggs, fruit, and grass. They use their excellent sense of smell and their sharp claws to dig and find food. Where do they live? Skunks sleep in burrows of other animals. This might be a hole in the ground or a hole in a tree. In the winter, they stay in their burrows and sleep most of the time. So did you hear that? They sleep in the burrows of other animals so they don't make their own homes, but they find a place from some other animal's hole, or like that skunk there, he's got an old tree that he's gone into a hole of to make a place to sleep. And did you notice it said in the winter they stay in their burrows and sleep most of the time? So they're animals that hibernate in the winter. So here's our glossary. A glossary is a place where we have words that we want to make sure we learned in our story. Mammals, animals that are warm-blooded and have fur. Burrow, an animal home that is made from holes in logs or underground. Omnivore, an animal that eats meats and plants. I hope you learned some new things about skunks in our story that we just read. I did. I learned about the names of the babies being kits. I learned about how that they have 5 to 7 babies. I mean, that's a lot of babies at one time. I learned how that they whistle to communicate with each other. I learned that their spray can shoot up to 10 feet. I learned a lot of new facts, and I hope you did too. Today, you're going to write me 3 new things that you learned about skunks. If you don't remember, you can always go back and listen to the story again. I can't wait to see what you learned about skunks.